Wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you move it over? It's just that the noise of the generator, it interferes when I'm recording it.
Oh yeah,
Just,
no.
if you just pull it over the side a bit. Yeah. So get as far away from the generator as possible.
Yeah, we're trying to move a little bit away from the noise of the generator.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, will that work? Okay. Excuse me for sitting down. I had some operations. I am the mother of Alistair and Patience, who were born in 1988 and 1994, and their grandmother, the grandparents of their grandmother was the same grandparents of Anne Frank. Let me tell you something about that family. There were 4 Jewish brothers in Frankfurt, and they had a factory. So it was a chemical factory, and they were doing very well. And this was in about the 1910s, 1920s. And one by one, the brothers died, but they left their widows. Now, 2 of the widows were Jewish women, and 2 of the widows were Catholic women. That was very significant in Nazi Germany, because if you were a full Jew, and they made you do your genealogy, way back till 1600 or something, if you were a full Jew, you were essentially killed if they caught you right away. And Anne Frank was a full Jew. My mother-in-law, Ruth, was a half Jew. And what that meant was that instead of having to wear a full yellow star, she had to wear a half yellow star. They actually cut the star off and stuck a half star. And the German logic was that if you were a half Jew, that you were half German, and German was the master race. Now, if you were a quarter Jew, that meant you were 3/4 German. So you weren't a threat anymore because Germany was the master race. Very peculiar logic. But that's what oppression always has, very peculiar logic. Now, Ruth's father died in about 1920. So in 1938, November 1938, there was something called Kristallnacht. And on this day, there was massive murders and breaking of synagogues, German businesses, German synagogues all over Germany. And I remember Ruth telling me that her brother stood downstairs with a rifle, getting ready to shoot anyone that came near them. And fortunately, they were spared. And in fact, the half-Jews in Ruth's family were spared. But the full Jews were just taken off to the concentration camp. I remember Ruth telling me how her aunt, who was in her 70s and in a wheelchair, was taken off to a concentration camp. It's like, and she was crying, 40 years after that, and saying, what harm could she possibly have done anyone? But that's what oppression does, and that's what cruelty does. I have been to Amsterdam. I have seen the Anne Frank house. It's very tiny, in the most beautiful place, which of course is what evil is. Evil will happen in the most beautiful place, and we always have to watch out for it. Now, when my son was born in 1988, Ruth's husband had spent the Second World War hiding his wife. And when their son was born in 1941, he was illegal. He wasn't supposed to exist because a Jew was not allowed to marry a German. And even a half-Jew wasn't allowed to marry a German. So you can see I'm wearing a ring on my finger, which looks like a wedding ring, and it is a wedding ring. When Ruth died, I put this ring on my finger, and it says on it, Ruth und Lothar, 9 May 1945. They married, the very first day they were allowed to marry. They did, in 1945. So this is my Holocaust ring. And when I had some operations in the last year, I told them you can't cut off these. They wanted to cut off my rings. I said, no, you can't cut off that ring. They said, okay, that's the Anne Frank ring. Okay, we get it. So I always have a reminder of what oppression can do. And when governments go crazy and start attacking their own people. And of course we know that's been the case for 400 years in the United States. But we want to make sure that it doesn't get worse, that it only gets better. And thank you for listening.
And thank you
Okay, let's see, did that work? No
for
problem.
coming here and sharing.